Hello everyone, it's your Peacekeeper, coming at you with the next video in our How to Play series on the Pan-Asian Destroyer line. This is the Royal Thai Navy destroyer Phra Ruang, and I'm sure I butchered that, but that's as good as it's gonna get. The Phra Ruang was a single destroyer sold to the Royal Thai Navy, or the Royal Siamese Navy, in 1920, from the actual Royal Navy of the United Kingdom. Technically, the Phra Ruang was sold by the Royal Navy to the shipyard that built her, which was Thornycroft and Company, who then sold it to the Royal Thai Navy. The ship was, under Royal Navy colors, the HMS Radiant, an R-class destroyer. The Phra Ruang is the name of the dynasty that ruled the Sukhothai Kingdom, and has since evolved into a phrase that is used to describe basically any of the ruling Sukhothai monarchs since the 14th century. The purchase of the ship was funded almost entirely by donations from political figures in Thailand, and the Royal Prince and Admiral of the Thai Navy went to personally negotiate the price, in addition to commanding the ship on the return trip to Thailand. It should be noted that the R-class destroyers served extensively throughout World War I, and HMS Radiant is by no doubt one of them. We won't go into her specific history as part of the Royal Navy, but 8 of these ships were lost during World War I, and only 2 survived out of the class of a lot. It's like 62 of these ships were actually built, and only 2 were managed to avoid being sent to the breakers for scrapping, and HMS Radiant was one of them. In terms of service history, well, there's not really much out there for service history on the Phra Ruang. The ship saw service in the Thai Navy until 1957, when it was formally struck from their active ship roster, but the ship's hulk remained in use for training until 2000. It is reported that the ship has been encased in concrete as a shrine to the Admiral and Prince who helped negotiate her purchase. And to be honest with you, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name because it would be terrible. Okay, let's talk about the ship in-game. The ship's in-game playstyle really doesn't change much from Longjiang. Her gunnery remains distinctly average, if not slightly below. The guns do feature good arcs, though, and it even has 2 360-degree capable turrets, which is really nice. It's just that outside of shooting at destroyers, doesn't matter if you're shooting AP or HE, it just doesn't do damage. It's like, if you're lucky, a couple hundred damage, and it gets really frustrating waiting for them, especially since the turret traverse on them is so slow compared to the turn rate of the destroyer. The torpedoes are still very much the same as, the Longjiang before this, except for there's a couple of tweaks. One, there is an improvement in overall damage. However, you sacrifice a full kilometer and change of range, while really not gaining any benefit in detection on either the ship or the torpedoes. So we go from torpedoes that do 9,233 damage and go 8.4 kilometers to torpedoes that do 10,000 damage but only go 7.3 kilometers. We also lost time in the reload. It takes longer for these torpedoes to reload. So it's kind of a downgrade in a lot of respects. I suppose you could argue that the guns are slightly more usable, but I really don't personally believe so. That said, because it is Tier 3, it's very easy to make the ship look way better than it actually is. I personally think, as far as Tier 3 destroyers go, the ship is outclassed by pretty much all of them in one way or another. The Japanese have way better torpedoes. The US has way better guns. So does the Voyenno-Morskoye Flot, the Russian Navy. And, well, the Germans, theirs are, I guess, a downgrade in some respects, but it's way better at, in my opinion, it's more well-rounded overall. So, I don't know. The ship is very maneuverable. It is relatively stealthy. It is very fast for a Tier 3 destroyer. But I can't help but think that the ship is distinctly average. Alright, let's go over some stats. terms of hit points, 8,700 hit points. We have 6 millimeters of armor, which is not that impressive. That's, yeah, not very thick. Main battery consists of 302 millimeter 40 caliber guns. And you can see here the middle turret and the aft turrets, both are 360 degree capable. The number 1 turret, or the A turret, is not. And so it'll be the one that you're waiting on to shoot at the pesky enemy destroyers. They have an 8.7 kilometer firing range, 5-second reload time, 22.5 second 180 degree turn time, only 1,500 damage for AP and HE, and a 6.5 fire percent chance. Torpedo tubes consist of 2 dual torpedo tubes. They are deep water torpedoes, which means that they will only strike carriers, battleships, and cruisers. They have a 7.3 kilometer range. They go 51 knots, which is glacial. They're practically sea mines. And 10,000 damage, 37-second reload time, 7.2 second 180 degree turn time. Woo! And they get detected at 1.1 kilometers. Anti-aircraft defense, the ship does have some 40 millimeter guns on board. They do 17 DPS. They have a 2.5 kilometer range. There are 3 of them. And I will just be flat honest with you. You might as well ignore them because you're not shooting down much with them. Ship's max speed is 37.8 knots with the speed flag. Should drop down to, I think it's 36-ish. Yep, 36 knots without it. 450 meter turning circle radius, 2.3 second rudder shift time. Detection range by sea is going to be 5.6 kilometers with camo on, 2.5 by air. In terms of modules and upgrades, I am running Main Armaments Mod 1 in the first slot for the 20% reduction in the chance of your main battery and torpedo tubes becoming incapacitated, as well as a 50% increase in their survivability, aka their hit point pool, as well as a 20% reduction in the time it takes to repair them. If you are out of detonation flags or for whatever reason don't want to run them on a low tier destroyer but you still want the effects of one, Magazine Mod 1 is a 70% reduction in your ship getting detonated. That's a pretty good trade-off for not having the flag. So if for whatever reason you want the effects of having the flag without actually burning flags up, Magazine Mod 1's a good choice. In the second slot, I'm running Propulsion Systems Mod 1, which is a 20% reduction in the risk of your engines becoming incapacitated, as well as a 20% reduction in the time it takes to repair them if they do become incapacitated. I really see that as being the best option at this tier, simply because I'm running Last Stand in my captain build. I don't see Steering Gears Mod 1 being all that useful, because if your engine gets taken out, and you still have rudder, you're creeping along at like 4, 5, 6 knots, which is hardly enough to get away. But with a 2.3 second rudder shift time, even if we double or triple that, we're still very agile and still a very small profile to shoot at. And so if we have some speed, we can get away quite easily. So that's why I run Propulsion Systems Mod 1. For the record, these two things are basically the same thing, except for one does it for the steering gears, the other does it for the engine. Damage Control Systems Mod 1, this would be fantastic if we were in a ship that got started on fire or hit with torpedoes all the time and didn't have a damage control party available almost all the time to repair it. Personally, I don't run that on any of my destroyers. Okay, so it's a tier 3 destroyer. Not expecting a whole lot more in the battle video that we haven't already seen, but let's go check it out anyway. Alright, so Phra Ruang being a tier 3 means that we're going to see a lot of tier 3, tier 4 fights, and this battle is certainly no exception to that. It just happens to be a much smaller battle, and the map is going to be on, is it New Dawn? I think it's New Dawn. Takes a little bit to load in. For whatever reason, the game has been really, really laggy of late. Yep, New Dawn. Okay, so we have spawned on the south side. Well, we're really straight west. We legitimately are splitting the map in half where our position's at. But on the south side of the map and the west side. So we're going to go towards the A cap. Usually what happens on this map is the vast majority of enemies will go towards either A or C. Usually they are preceded by a destroyer or two. And so we need to be ready for that when we get up there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use my speed boost to get there quicker. And once we get rolling, the only real special thing that we need to remember is that our torpedoes do not work on enemy destroyers, which means we shouldn't really waste them shooting at enemy destroyers because there's really no reason to do that. So, this battle actually is pretty good. It demonstrates kind of the strengths and weaknesses of the ship really well. The torpedoes are definitely the strong aspect of this ship. However, the guns are definitely a letdown. There you can see the arcs for the guns, pretty good. And you can see how the rear two can traverse 360 degrees. Makes charging at things a lot of fun because you can swap sides fairly easily. Like I said, though, the one thing that I really don't care for about this ship's gun angles is the fact that the turret traverse itself is really the biggest letdown. And you can't aggressively maneuver from side to side without completely tossing the guns out the window. So, that's one thing to keep in mind. Looks like we're gonna be the first one to this cap. You can see, well, we're averaging 40 knots going into the cap. I don't think there's too much else at this tier that can quite run this fast. At least not until maybe the R class actually makes it into the line. Oh, you can see we discovered the walkie-talkie there while I was typing. Quick traverse the guns over, and you can see how they just barely don't keep up. Walkie-talkie is actually burning smoke coming into here. I think that's because of the Duguay that he was trying to smoke up, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to smoke because, well, cruiser, right? So cruisers, always a risk, and Duguay has hydro, if I remember correctly. If not, it's a cruiser. We definitely don't want to be anywhere near him exposed if we can avoid it. But we are close enough that we can actually see him in smoke. So you can see there are 3 normal penetrations with HE, 990 damage. I mean, that's really not that good. Oh, quick look here to see if I can't get these around. Oh, there's his torpedoes. In hindsight, one of the things that I probably should have done on this is I probably should have just continued on around, launched the torpedoes, and then turned around, but I didn't really want to take a whole lot of damage in the process of doing this. Wasn't sure where that enemy destroyer was at. I knew the Duguay would end up going away. Oop, yep, look at that. Got ourselves some torpedoes from the walkie-talkie there. Those torpedoes, as you can see, going to miss. So at this point, we got some choices to make. You can imagine which one I'm making. Turn our AA off there real quick. Oh, look. A walkie-talkie. Well, let's engage him with our guns, and maybe we'll have better luck with him doing damage there. 495 for a normal pen on a destroyer, anyway. And, okay, there's 990. Nope, flat miss. Not very accurate guns either, that's the other thing. So they don't keep up with the turret traverse, they don't keep up with... That was 2 hits that did 548 damage. 743 with 3 shell hits. What? You can see they don't really... The guns don't really keep up, and... Oh, yep, he's not going to shoot at me, so down he goes. Now we've got some choices to make, because we've got a lot of targets that we could engage. What I really want to do is I want to capture the A cap if I can, because our team does not have any. We're down on points because we are down on ships overall, and that has not been a very big help. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to launch torpedoes at the St. Louis. I almost said Saint Louis, but this is the American one. We don't need that French nonsense in here. We are going to turn ourselves around, use the really tight turning radius, and we're going to turn around, hoping that the St. Louis carries on, but as you can see, no. Not allowed, apparently. So there is a Wix over at the B cap. Our walkie-talkie is doing a pretty good job of actually keeping him at bay. We've got a St. Louis and a Duguay that are completely out of this fight. Well, the Duguay is not completely out of the fight, but again, launching torpedoes, he's coming in. I think well, we'll see what happens. It just kind of depends on how he responds to the Bellerophon's existence there. My imagination tells me that he's going to end up turning in, and those are probably going to miss. And sure enough, I was right. Oh well. Well, let's go see if we can't help this Wakatake with the wicks that's over here. You can see that, okay, so there's Mr. Wicks. He's off over there doing his thingamajig, trying to get some hits in early before his guns come into play. The Wicks has actually pretty good guns for this tier. They shoot relatively flat, have pretty good rate of fire, have way better arcs than this, that's for sure. Can't hit. Yes, thank you, game. I can't hit. Can't seem to hit any of the destroyers with these torpedoes. What's that nonsense all about? So turn in a little broad. Ooh, there's our first bit of damage that we've managed to take out on this expedition so far. We've done 11,413 damage, taking out an enemy destroyer. Wicks torpedoes, I think they're 5K. Either way, we're not going to hang around to really find out. So, oh, yep, okay, so they're short range. Not that that was a terrible surprise, but trying to bring these guns to bear. Look at how much they bounce around, and look at how inaccurate they are. This is a hard ship to really play with the guns, and all I'm doing is focusing down a destroyer in this. I'm not even... It's not like I'm, you know, attempting to go out of my way or something like that to, you know, take over Ziveld or something. So he's deployed his smoke because he's lost a fair amount of hit points. I definitely don't blame him for that. But you can see there we were able to get one more hit off on him. We're going to fire one more into there because we're not detected by anything currently. Never know, sometimes you get lucky with those and be able to take him out. But now that we're kind of charging towards him, we get to be the aggressor on this. There's a couple of things to remember about destroyer versus destroyer engagements. One of the first things that usually happens when a destroyer can hit you with torpedoes is he will spam launch torpedoes all over the place. Recommendation to avoiding all of that, as soon as you see him turn... Ooh, okay, so there he goes. Slam on the brakes. Right about now. Right about now. There we go. At the last minute, you know, slam on those brakes. And you can see there we managed to avoid the torpedo spread that he launched because we were prepared. We knew that he was going to launch those torpedoes. And had I continued on, would have most definitely eaten a wall of torpedoes. That would have been hard to dodge through, even for a ship like this that has a 500-meter detection radius. Now I got this Wakatake here that is sitting in his smoke holding B. We've got a St. Louis holding C. It's down to just us three, unfortunately. Torpedoes launched there as a dissuasion technique for the Tenryu. Should have probably held on to those for the St. Louis. But, oh well. Well, okay, St. Louis is disappearing. We're going to shoot as we go behind the silent. We're going to meet up with the Wakatake. Hoping for a fire, but nope, 495 damage. So this Wakatake, I don't know what he's thinking, but he's like hardcore detected by the St. Louis. He should just come towards me and I can lay a smoke cloud for him. And I should have really been more aggressive about turning in here to deploy the smoke cloud, but I also thought he was just going to carry on. But we're gonna come out here and try and, well, we're gonna try and help him a little bit, but no, he's gonna just run the other way. Well, okay, at this point, there's no use in me trying to help him. And also, we don't have to worry about our torpedoes hitting him because he's a destroyer. How awesome is that? We don't have to worry about our torpedoes hitting other destroyers. Ooh, St. Louis takes out the Wakatake, but looks like the Wakatake got the final say in that. Landed 2 torpedoes. I'm in the blind, and I have nothing else to do except for, well, we're going to put the big boy pants on. We're going to rush out here and see if maybe we can't gun down this St. Louis. Or, yep, okay, so he pops up. We're going to shoot at him. Looks like we're going to get him with that torpedo, though. Yep. So down he goes from the torpedoes. Now we get to play dodge the battleship fire for a little bit here. Well, the nice part about this ship is that we've got really, really, really good... Well, we tried to slam on our brakes to throw them off here. We got our speed boost going. Oh, well, moderate damage. Okay, well, that's not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Random torps from something. And kind of spam, quick launch those guys there. Oh, Tenryu, all the way over there. And we can see here we're evading quite well. 5.6 kilometer detection range. At this point, we're basically turning ourselves, hopefully, into just a Japanese destroyer, right? So that's what I'm hoping for. Ooh, no, I don't think so. Not quite enough lead. All the hindsight being 2020, right? At this point, we were using the quick reload of the torpedoes. This would be a fun ship to have a adrenaline rush on. We do have torpedo armament expertise on here. Went ahead and launched those set of torps. Again, we're going to try and reset the cap here. Especially since our detection time is going to be so low anyway. Nothing else, we can get lucky and end up dealing with the Tenryu's peskiness. Maybe get lucky and reset the cap is what I was hoping for, but apparently that doesn't work. Oh my. Well, those torpedoes were launched in the blind pretty well. Definitely gonna get 2, probably 3. Yep, there's 3. Kerplunk. And a flood. Well, we're just gonna go ahead and launch. We're launching a pretty wide spread here. Again, hoping that maybe, just maybe, we can use this to our advantage. Now, I think in hindsight, had I not shot my guns here, I think they wouldn't have had any idea of what direction I was going. They probably would have gone to the south, probably would have been able to cap A cap, maybe even sneak B cap again. But at this point, we do have South Carolina that we are rapidly approaching. Not really too terribly worried about his guns. What I am worried about, though... Okay, maybe I should be worried about his guns. What I am worried about, though, is you know, falling off the detection and then getting redetected right away. Which, as you're going to see, is going to happen anyway. So, we're just going to sail away from him and pray he misses. Nope. Oh, boy. This South Carolina's got some, looks like he's got some moves. I think he's... We're trying to hover within that range. That range. Yep. Might as well go ahead and shoot at him, get a little bit more damage. Oy. Apparently we're not able to get anything else. And quick WASD ninja skills. Whew. That Tenryu is a problem. Unsurprising. Okay, so we're up to 40, basically, we'll call it 41,000 damage. We're up to 41,000 damage here. The South Carolina is, you know, every time he shoots, he exposes himself, so that's perfectly fine by me. What I am going to do is I'm going to use these islands. I'm just going to go, and I'm going to go sneak in the cap. We have 1 cap. We're relatively close in points. If we can get a kill, if that St. Louis can kill that Phra Ruang down there, or I can kill this Tenryu or South Carolina or Nassau, I think we can actually win this match. Hey, with 42,000 damage, it's worth the shot, right? So at this point, okay, we're going to start capping, but you can see we're kind of hovering on where we're actually going to be. Got plenty of opportunities here for... that South Carolina is just shooting off into the distance here. Got plenty of opportunity for, you know, engaging this South Carolina. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to launch torpedoes. I thought maybe he would just continue going north here. So that's I launched him a little short just in case he did decide to turn a little bit. And you can see it looks like he's actually making a pretty big move to turn in. This Tenryu is annoying. If that cruiser wasn't there, I'd be a lot more aggressive with where I'm positioning myself to launch torpedoes at these guys. But I don't know what's tipping this Tenryu off, but yeah. At this point, with the way he's maneuvering, I think that if we launch a set of these short, he'll probably end up turning into this cap. Okay, so we got a second cap. Our St. Louis is charging the Phra Ruang that's down in the sea cap, so hopefully he can take care of that. Can't think of any reason why he wouldn't be able to, but there's no reason for me to hang out here. In fact, they really don't know where I'm at. So if I continue on down, I should be good to go, right? We should be able to go sneak up maybe on this Nassau, or maybe loop back and get the, tag the South Carolina or something coming in, and oh my. Well, that was unfortunate. That was a very fortunate for him spotting. Our St. Louis is still down there, preventing the cap. So I'm looping around here thinking, well, maybe he'll end up coming into the cap, and we'll get lucky catching him, because you saw where he was at with the indicator where he was headed to. But you can see here, once the guns stopped being a real viable option, we switched immediately to being just a glorified torpedo boat. And there goes our St. Louis. Whew. Well, this match is pretty much over unless I can get some ridiculously lucky torpedo hits that happen to nuke a South Carolina or something, but I don't anticipate that happening anytime soon. Again, launching torpedoes into the cap, hoping that maybe, just maybe, we can get that South Carolina, maybe get the Tenryu. That would be awesome. Nope, we're detected by a battleship. Well, might as well sit here and engage him, I guess, for a little bit. Whoop, incoming fire there from the Tenryu. Those are some really good shots. It's a shame that my torpedoes can't be that lucky. Hoping to get the South Carolina to shoot it. How did he spot me through that? Like, through the wall of the... through the wall of the smoke cloud, he managed to actually spot me? That's interesting. Well, it doesn't truthfully matter, as he's now engaging way over me. So at this point, we're going to go see if maybe we can't get lucky with the B cap, I guess. I don't know. Maybe the NASA will present a less difficult target. Well, those are looking pretty good, though. I don't want to spend too much time in that camera view if you can avoid it. So, Phra Ruang, so far, you've seen the really rather anemic gunplay. Well, yep, we're going to get at least a couple. You can see the really rather anemic gunplay on it. Averaging about 500 damage every couple of shells. Ooh, 3 torpedo hits and a flood for some 13,000 odd damage. Not going to not, sir. I'm just kidding. We might. But, I don't really care for the gunplay on this ship. The torpedo play is okay, but it's not going to be enough, right? And that's really the downside to this. And we ended the match as a loss. 3 kills, though. We gave it our best. It's not like we gave up. 63,646 damage, 3 kills, 2 caps, top of our team, 1,062. We would have placed 3rd on their team. You can see there was 684,000 potential damage in a Tier 3 destroyer. Unbelievable. Anyway, overall, Phra Ruang is what I would call a distinctly average destroyer. It's not really terrible, it's not really great and amazing. I don't know. Not a ship I'm going to keep around. Anyway, I'm your Peacekeeper. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching.